In the early morning hours of November 6, 1983, in the small town of Hawkins, Indiana, a 12-year-old boy vanished. To the outside world, it was another tragic missing child case. But what happened that night was the first crack in a facade. The first signal that Hawkins was not the quiet town it appeared to be. Will Byers, son of Joyce, brother to Jonathan, friend to Mike, Lucas, and Dustin. He was last seen leaving the home of his friend, Michael Wheeler, at approximately 8:45 p.m. His route home was a straight shot down Mirkwood, a road he'd traveled 100 times, but on this night, something intervened. Eyewitness accounts from that night are scarce and inconsistent. Some reported electrical disturbances. Others spoke of a feeling of intense dread. What is clear is that Will Byers did not simply run away. He was taken, and the sight of his disappearance became a point of convergence. The event triggered two separate, simultaneous investigations. One official and one profoundly personal. Chief Jim Hopper, a man haunted by his own loss, led the surface-level search. But for Joyce Byers, a mother's intuition screamed that the rules of reality had changed. She reported hearing her son's voice through the electrical wiring of her home. Her claims were dismissed as grief-induced hysteria. Meanwhile, 1.2 miles away, at the Hawkins National Laboratory, a different kind of alert was sounding. Dr. Martin Brenner, the director of a shadowy program known internally as Project Indigo, had been monitoring for a very specific kind of energy signature. The disturbance on Mirkwood Road was a klaxon. Brenner's asset was a young girl known only as 11, gifted with immense telekinetic and psychic abilities. She'd been trained to remotely view targets across impossible distances. That night, under duress, she was ordered to locate a Russian agent. Something went catastrophically wrong. In that moment, 11 didn't just find a spy. She made contact with a predatory entity from a parallel dimension, and in her terror, she ripped a hole in the fabric of space-time itself. A gateway. This breach, located deep within the lab's sublevels, was the genesis point. Will Byers, fleeing his pursuer on Mirkwood Road, didn't vanish from our world. He was pulled through a localized, temporary tear into the other side. Two worlds, now connected by a wound. A boy, trapped in the reflection. A monster, set loose in the original. And a girl, armed with a power she barely understands, running for her life into the one place no one would think to look. The heart of a sleepy American town. In our next episode, we will map the convergent paths of the searchers. The party of friends using fantasy as a guide, the mother, communicating through lights, and the chief who begins to suspect the official story is a lie. We examine the evidence of the upside down and profile the entity that calls it home. In the immediate aftermath of Will Byers' disappearance, three distinct groups began a search. Each operated with different tools, different motives, and different levels of access to the truth. Together, their findings would form the first coherent picture of the event known as the Hawkins Breach. First, the official investigation. Chief Jim Hopper's initial search followed standard procedure, but the evidence refused to cooperate. A bicycle was found abandoned, undamaged, as if its rider had simply evaporated. There were no footprints leading away, no signs of a struggle, just one weird sight. Patches of gooey, rotting stuff. Hopper's instinct, honed by personal tragedy, told him the story was wrong. His first break came not from the woods, but from a lie. The coroner's report for the supposed body of Will Byers was a forgery, ordered by forces far above his pay grade. Second, the personal investigation. Joyce Byers, isolated and dismissed, became a pioneer of interdimensional communication, using the phenomenon of psychoreactive resonant energy, where the entity's presence caused violent electromagnetic fluctuations. She established crude contact. The entity could manipulate lights, heat, and sound within our dimension. Joyce turned this invasion into a tool, using a wall of Christmas lights as a Ouija board. Her discovery was monumental. Will was alive, but trapped in a version of their home that was cold, dark, and predatory. She was mapping a haunted reflection of reality. Third, and most critical, the parallel investigation. Mike Wheeler, Lucas Sinclair, and Dustin Henderson operated on a different axis entirely. They weren't bound by adult logic or police tape. Their guide was fantasy. The monster they deduced from evidence a clawed, predator drawn to blood. With a flower-like head wasn't a child's imagination. It was a shockingly accurate profile, built from D&D bestiary logic. And walkie-talkie field reports. Their greatest discovery, however, was human. A traumatized, powerful runaway they called L. In her, they found a living weapon, a map, and a key. Through her remote viewing, they confirmed Will's location, the Upside Down. And through her telekinesis, they gained their first fleeting defense against the entity they now called the Demogorgon, a name that sent chills down their spines. Right? By Thanksgiving, in 1983, these three threads began to weave together. Hopper, digging into the lab's history, found a trail of missing children and covered up accidents. Joyce provided the how, a resonant connection to the other side. The party, with 11, provided the what, a biological entity from a parallel dimension. The official cover-up, the maternal distress signals, and the fantasy Madriel had all converged on a single, terrifying truth. A gate was open, and something was using it to hunt. In our final episode on Season 1, we will witness the assault on two fronts. The desperate attempt to rescue a lost boy from a dying dimension, and the brutal cost of closing a door that should never have been opened. By late November 1983, the theoretical became tactical. The entity from the Upside Down, the Demogorgon, was not a solitary hunter. It was a probe, a biological extension of the dimension itself, testing the stability of the breach and the viability of our world as a hunting ground. The mission bifurcated. One team would enter the infection to rescue the host. The other would fight the infection at its source. Team 1, the rescue party. Jonathan Byers and Nancy Wheeler, armed with homemade weapons and driven by guilt and grief, lured the Demogorgon into a trap at the Byers' home. Their strategy was brutal, domestic warfare, using fire, projectile weapons, and the entity's own attraction to blood. They proved it could be hurt. They proved it could be killed, but in doing so, they learned a critical, horrifying fact. The death of one probe did not end the threat. It was a symptom, not the disease. Team 2, the containment party. Joyce and Hopper, now fully aware of the lab's culpability, forced their way into the heart of the breach. What they found was not a sophisticated laboratory, but a necrotic wound. The gate was a grotesque, living fissure in the basement of Hawkins' lab, pulsating with the same biological energy found at every attack site. The Upside Down wasn't just through the gate. It was seeping from it. To close it, they needed a catalyst. They needed 11. 11's role evolved from asset to sacrifice. Brenner viewed her as a tool to be recaptured and used to open further connections. The party saw her as a friend to be protected. But the physics of the breach suggested her unique psychokinetic signature was the only thing that could permanently suture the wound. The confrontation in the school hallway was not merely a fight for survival. It was a violent discharge of pent-up energy, drawing on trauma, friendship, and rage. 11 didn't just push the Demogorgon away. She unleashed a wave of force that traveled back along the entity's own interdimensional tether, a shockwave that forcibly collapsed the gate at its source. The cost was absolute. Will Byers was recovered, but infected a host for upside-down particles. 11 vanished, disintegrated by the feedback. The gate was closed, but not healed. And Hawkins' lab, publicly disgraced by the chemical leak cover story, merely went darker, quieter, and more determined to reopen the line of research. Season 1 concludes not with a victory, but with a precarious quarantine. The patient, Will Byers, is home but coughing up larvae from a world that should not exist. The surgeon, 11, is missing. Presum are dead, and the disease is merely dormant. The final scene of the season is a warning. The Upside Down is not a place you visit. It is a contamination. Once exposed, you are never truly clean. You merely become a carrier, waiting for the environment to once again become hospitable. This ends our forensic analysis of Season 1, The Vanishing of Will Byers. In our next volume, we will examine the aftermath of infection and the terrifying resilience of the organism known as the Mind Flayer. The fall of 1984, Hawkins, Indiana, presents a picture of uneasy recovery. The chemical leak cover story has settled into local lore. Will Byers is home. Mike Wheeler awaits a call that never comes, and Chief Hopper guards a secret in a secluded cabin. The gate is closed, but in the science of interdimensional breaches, closure does not mean cure. It means remission. And the organism known as the Upside Down has evolved. Its second incursion would not be a singular monster, but a systemic infection. This is the story of a haunting, a hive mind, and the boy who became its living antenna. Will Byers, rescued from the Upside Down, carried something back, not just trauma, but particulate materia, microscopic contamination of that other dimension. For months, it lay dormant. Then, on October 28, 1984, it activated. The symptoms were initially misdiagnosed as complex post-traumatic stress disorder. His mother Joyce called them, they were, in fact, psychic seizures. During them, Will would freeze, his eyes rolling back. He would report visions, a vast, stormy void, and within it, a colossal, shadowy shape of impossible scale, moving with a singular, predatory will. The limbic system lights up with invasive red tendrils. He was not remembering the Upside Down. He was perceiving it in real time. The contamination had created a neurological link. Will Byers had become a human surveillance tool for the entity on the other side. His mind was the broadcast. His body was the receiver. Elsewhere, the infection manifested physically. On a local farm, a new species of underground vianthic, pulsating, and black bee began aggressively spreading through the soil. These vines were not merely plants. They were tendrils of a larger whole, a distributed nervous system, and they were cultivating a new form of fauna, small, slug-like creatures that would evolve at an unnatural rate into the predatory demodogs. The Hawkins National Laboratory, now under the more diplomatic but no less secretive leadership of Dr. Sam Owens, was monitoring this ecological outbreak. Their fear was not another gate, but something they termed root system colonization. The Upside Down wasn't trying to break in again. It was trying to digest Hawkins from below. While the party now, including the fiercely skeptical newcomer Maxine Max, Mayfield tracked, the strange creatures, the most powerful weapon against them was in exile. 11, hidden by Hopper, was suffering a different kind of haunting. The memory of the gate's closure had left a psychic scar. Her attempts to use her powers resulted in a feedback loop, opening temporary, painful rifts to the black void where she had banished the Demogorgon. She was searching for a signal, a voice, the voice of her mother. 3 fronts of the same war. A boy used as a living map, a town being terraformed from beneath, and a weapon locked away, trying to remember she was human. The Mind Flayer, as the party would later name it, did not need a big gate this time. It already had a door. It had Will, and that was all it needed, and it was using him to draw the blueprint for its total conquest. The entity's strategy became clear through its biology. The vines, the creatures, and Will Byers were not separate agents. They were nodes in a network. A hive mind. When the party's new creature, Dart, was captured, they observed a chilling behavior. It did not act purely on animal instinct. It showed recognition, memory, and a sense of tactical patience. It was being directed. The central intelligence, the Mind Flayer, was a sentient storm in the Upside Down, but its will was executed through this mycelium-like network in our world. To understand it, Dr. Owen's team made a fatal error. They attempted to cauterize a section of the Vine network beneath the local junkyard. The system reacted as a body would to a localized burn, with violent, systemic inflammation. The psychic backlash was channeled directly through its most sensitive node, Will Byers. The entity threatened seized full control. Will's possession was not demonic, but parasitological. The Mind Flayer used his knowledge, his memories, his voice to infiltrate and dismantle the defenses of those who loved him. It turned the buyer's home into a trap, and Joyce's unwavering love into a vulnerability, while Joyce and Hopper fought to reach the will buried inside his own mind. 11 embarked on a quest of her own. Using her powers to find her mother, Terry Ives, she uncovered the brutal origin of Project Indigo. More importantly, she found another survivor, Kali, who possessed the power of illusion. Kali's philosophy was one of vengeance, using powers as a weapon against the men who hurt them. For a moment, 11 was tempted by this path. It offered strength, purpose, rage, but Hawkins was calling. Through a psychic vision, she saw her friends, Mike, Dustin, Lucas, in mortal peril, trapped in the tunnels beneath the town. The pull of found family proved stronger than the lure of vengeance. She chose the role of protector over punisher. She had to return home. The Hive was mobilizing for a final, overwhelming strike, and the only force that had ever permanently wounded the Upside Down was coming back to face the source. The final confrontation of the Hawkins infection was a battle on two parallel planes, the physical and the psychic. On the physical plane, the strategy was one of containment and diversion. Dr. Owens, realizing the catastrophic scale of his mistake, authorized a drastic plan. The underground network of tunnels, now pulsing with activity, converged on a single point: the sealed main gate beneath the lab. To kill the Hive, you had to kill the Queen's connection. They would burn the tunnels, then send a small team into the gate chamber itself to manually close it from our side, severing the Mind Flayer's umbilical cord. The plan became a last stand. As teams set the tunnels ablaze, the enraged hive mind directed its entire army of demo dogs toward the lab. What ensued was the Battle of Hawkins' Lab, chaotic, desperate defense by Owen's security forces, Hopper, and the party. The cost was high, epitomized by the death of Bob Newby, whose bravery in restoring the lab's power bought the crucial minutes needed for the next phase. On the psychic plane, the battle was for a single mind. Will Byers, fully possessed, was the Mind Flayer's command center in our world. To defeat it, Joyce and Hopper had to perform a psychological exorcism, using Will's core memories as anchors the safety of his home. Castle Byers forced the entity to feel. They weaponized human emotion against a creature of pure, hateful will. By making Will remember love and safety, they created a psychic burn within the possession, overloading the connection and forcing the shadow out. The two planes converged in the gate chamber. Weak the Demodog army defeated. The path was clear. 11, now fully reconciled with her power and her purpose, faced the pulsating wound in reality. But this time, she was not alone. Hopper was with her. Her role was not to sacrifice herself, but to act as a gatekeeper. Using her telekinesis, she applied immense pressure to the gate's edges, forcing the unnatural fissure to heal, to scar over. As the gate closed, the psychic scream of the severed Mind Flayer echoed across dimensions. Its network in Hawkins withered instantly. The possession of Will Byers ended. The entity was not destroyed, it was cast adrift, cut off from its prize, left to brood in its own dimension. The aftermath was one of fragile victory. The lab was shut down for good. The people of Hawkins danced at the snowball, a moment of hard-won normalcy. But in the final, silent shot from the Upside Down, we see the truth. The Mind Flayer remains vaster than ever, angrier than ever. And it is not looking at Hawkins anymore. It is looking back at the boy who escaped it, and the girl who sealed the door. The war is not over. The patient is in recovery, but the pathogen now knows its target, and it is learning. June 1985. Hawkins, Indiana. On the surface, the quintessential American summer. Bicycles against picket fences, pool parties and fireworks. The gleaming new Starcourt Mall, temple of neon, chrome, and consumer blistons, as the proud symbol of a town moving on, growing, forgetting. But beneath this veneer of prosperity, in the dark places where light cannot reach, two ancient predators have converged. One is an alien intelligence, learning from its failures. The other is human ambition, cloaked in the guise of Cold War supremacy. Their collaboration would turn the summer of '85 into a season of flesh, fire, and fragmentation. Our story begins not with a gate, but with a key. A Soviet mechanical key. To be precise. For 3 years, under the cover of retail construction, teams of scientists and engineers had been burrowing beneath Starcourt Mall. Their target was not American secrets, but geological ones. Using seismic scans stolen from the ruins of Hawkins' lab, they pinpointed a precise coordinate, the epicenter of the 1983 interdimensional breach, the scar tissue between worlds. Their machine, codenamed Klyak. The key was a marvel of misguided ambition. It did not seek to communicate or explore. It was a thermal drill designed to blast open a new permanent gateway using temperatures rivaling the sun's surface. Their goal were to weaponize the Upside Down, to create the ultimate deterrent. But as with all attempts to cage chaos, the first symptoms of failure were subtle. The key's operation required a coolant, a fluorescent green chemical compound. To the Soviets, it was inert. 2. The lingering psychic residue of the mind Flayer still dormant in our dimension. It was a dinner bell. The compound acted as a mutagen, a psychic amplifier, and a biological attractant. It seeped into Hawkins' groundwater. It was pumped into the town's new heritage fertilizer, and it began its work. The first stage of the invasion was environmental corruption. The local ecosystem began to mutate. Rats, drawn to the compound, consumed it and began exhibiting grotesque, hyper-aggressive behavior before melting into a uniform. This wasn't death. It was a new beginning. The Flayer couldn't fully take shape without an open gate, so it was using the compound to create a raw protoplasmic clay to build its own army. The battlefield was no longer the abstract Upside Down. It was the basements, sewers, and fields of Hawkins itself. The second stage required a catalyst, a central nervous system, to coordinate this new flesh. The Flayer's particles, lying dormant since the exorcism of Will Byers, still existed in trace amounts within those it had touched. It sought the strongest signal, the one fueled not by innocence, but by rage. Abused, angry, and spiritually hollowed out, Billy was not merely possessed this time, he was refined. The Flayer used his pain as a focusing lens, his memories as camouflage, and his body as a command unit. Billy became the general of the flesh, a predator in human skin, tasked with gathering the corrupted biomass by any means necessary. His first targets were not strangers, but those he knew: lifeguards, mechanics, mothers luring them to isolated places where they could be quietly dissolved and added to the whole. While this silent war took shape, the human defenders of Hawkins were facing a more common, yet equally devastating foe: the end of childhood. The party, now on the precipice of adolescence, found their unity fractured by new biological imperatives. Mike Wheeler and Eleven, whose bond was once psychic and absolute, now navigated the treacherous waters of first love, complicated by Hopper's overbearing dad routine. Lucas Sinclair and Max Mayfield were deep in their own romance. Will Byers, desperate to hold on to the past, staged a campaign to revive Dungeons & Dragons, only to find his friends had moved on. Dustin Henderson returning triumphant from science camp with a new girlfriend. Susie on the radio found his monumental discovery strange. Repeating Soviet numbers, station met with apathy. For the first time, their walkie-talkie network carried not battle plans, but the static of hurt feelings and romantic crossfire. The adults were faring no better. Jim Hopper, having found a fragile domesticity with 11, was consumed by a petty political turf war with Mayor Larry Klein, who saw the new mall as his personal golden goose. Hopper's authority was being systematically undermined, his attention diverted to parking tickets and ice cream stand bribes. Joyce Byers, now manager of the mall's enchantment under the sea store, began noticing anomalies: magnets falling off her fridge, electronics behaving erratically. Her instincts, honed by 2 seasons of supernatural trauma, screamed that something was wrong. But when she brought her concerns to Hopper, he dismissed them as paranoia, the stress of a single mother. The core alliance that had saved Hawkins twice was broken by the mundane. This fragmentation was the Mind Flayer's first major victory. It didn't need to attack a unified front. It simply watched as Hawkins divided itself. The stage was set for a war, fought not by one team, but by 4 isolated factions. each stumbling blind toward a different piece of the truth, while the enemy's new body grew larger in the dark. By the 4th of July, 1985, the Mind Flayer had completed its horrifying biological transformation. It was no longer a shadow possessing minds. It was a new organism, growing a Badia flesh cathedral from the liquefied remains of Hawkins citizens. Its methodology was a 3-stage horror. Liquefaction. The victim's cells broke down from within, craving chemicals. Assimilation. It's like everyone coming together, blending into one big community, you know? This new form, called Biomass Alpha, was a game changer. Bullets just went right through it. It could detach parts of itself to hunt. It was a sentient, predatory acid. And with the gate closed, it was directionless. A limb severed from the brain. Meanwhile, beneath the neon glow of Starcourt Mall, a human error was about to reconnect that limb to its brain. The Russian facility, Kamchatka, had built a machine they called the Key. Their goal, to pry open their own doorway to the Upside Down. And below, a hidden, brutalist laboratory with a large, ring-shaped machine glowing in the center. Their intelligence was fatally flawed. They didn't understand they weren't drilling into empty space. They were drilling into scar tissue. On the night of July 4th, as fireworks erupted above Hawkins, the Key activated below, show a ripple effect distorting the air around it. It didn't create a new gate. It violently tore open the old one. The psychic shockwave was immediate. Will Baez, hundreds of yards away, collapsed, his connection burning, and in its flesh cathedral, Biomass Alpha stirred. The tether was re-established. The Mind Flayer's full consciousness flooded back into its physical avatar. It now had one directive from its distant hive mind: eliminate the obstacle, eliminate Eleven. What followed was a vertical war, fought on 3 levels of the same location. Joyce and Hopper team up to take down the Key. Theirs was a battle of desperation and brute force against Soviet soldiers. Hopper's final act was to overload the machine, staring into the beam as it exploded to ensure it could never be used again. The official record states he was vaporized, and Hopper's silhouettes as they faced down armed guards in the concrete corridor. A flash of blinding light from the Key. Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, and Robin are monster herders. In the mall's food court, they learned its weaknesses: fire and extreme cold. This wasn't about killing it. It was about buying time, using refrigerated trucks and fire extinguishers to slow the unstoppable, show silhouettes of the heroes, small against it, using a spray of white from a fire extinguisher to push back a creeping tendril of flesh. Level 3. The Psychic War. Mike, Lucas, Will, and Max led 11 to the heart of the infection, the flesh cathedral itself. Her battle here wasn't physical. It was a war of wills within a psychic landscape. She fought not with telekinesis, but with memory, the love of her friends, forging a shield so powerful it severed the Flayer's tether once more. Facing her is a towering shadow, the Mind Flayer's psychic form. Glowing golden strands of memories and love wrap around her like a warm hug, pushing the shadow back, letting the light shine through and brighten everything up. The Battle of Starcourt ended. Biomass Alpha, blinded and besieged, retreated into the collapsing gate. The Flayed were gone. The Russian threat was neutralized. Hawkins was saved. But the cost was a ledger of profound loss. Billy Hargrove sacrificed himself as a man, not a host. Chief Jim Hopper was missing, presumed dead, and the party's victory was a funeral for their childhood. Their final goodbye was not in triumph, but in grief, as the Byers family prepared to leave a town that could no longer be their home. The final scene of the season offered no closure, only a new mystery. In a remote, snowy Soviet gulag known as Kamchatka, guards feed an unnamed prisoner. His head is shaved. He is large. They call him only the American. Through a barred window, we see the back of a large, shaven-headed man in prison grays, sitting on a cot. The camera holds as the scene fades. The monster was defeated. The door was closed. But some people, once lost, find themselves in hells they never imagined. The war had escaped Hawkins, and a new front, more human and more cruel, was just beginning. July 4th, 1985, was a day to remember. Marked more than a battle in Hawkins. It marked the end of an American secret and the beginning of a new global conflict. The Upside Down was no longer a local anomaly. It was now an international asset. The Soviet program, codenamed Project Kokos, was not about containment. Declassified intelligence suggests their goal was weaponization. While Hawkins' lab sought to close the door, the Soviets wanted to control what came through it. Their target wasn't the Mind Flayer's dimension, but its predatory fauna. They sought to create a biological army that was utterly alien to Western defenses. The failure at Starcourt didn't end this ambition. It decentralized it. Post-1985, the Soviet program fractured into factions. One favored continued dimensional research. One more thought was to include native assets, like 11, who totally gets it. This created a dangerous new paradigm. Hawkins was no longer the front line. It was now one node in a potential global network of breach sites. The conflict escaped Main Street. It entered the shadow world of spies, physicists, and black budget research. For our subjects, the personal cost was a different kind of disintegration. The party's separation was a structural trauma. They weren't just friends moving apart. They were one mind in 4 bodies, now being pulled apart. 11 lost her power and her protector. Will lost his safe haven. Mike, Lucas, and Dustin lost their foundational structure. Their final goodbye at the cabin wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, a funeral for a shared childhood. And then, there was the prisoner, in a remote Siberian gulag known as Kamchatka. The guards have a new inmate. He is large. His head is shaved. He does not speak. They do not use his name. They refer to him only as the American. He is not a hostage in the traditional sense. He is an intelligence trove, a living blueprint of Hawkins' defenses. A witness to the breach, and potentially a test subject for Soviet attempts to understand or replicate the resilience required to survive the Upside Down. We see the back of the man's shaved head, the broad shoulders, the prison uniform. He does not move. The final shot of Season 3 asks the defining question of the new era. The Mind Flayer was a monster of biology, of shadow and flesh, but the monster in the cell, that is a monster of politics, of ambition, of human cruelty. The battle for Hawkins is over. The war for the nature of reality has just begun, and the next enemy won't come from a crack in the ground. Some prisons have bars, others have memories. The Dream War and the Man in Room 77, March 1986. The Mind Flayer is dormant. The gate is sealed. Hawkins is quiet. But trauma, like radiation, has a half-life, and its most potent isotope is memory. Our subjects are scattered in Llanera Hills, California. Will Byers paints the same storm cloud over and over. 11. Now Jane Hopla writes unsent letters to Mike and endures the petty warfare of high school hierarchy. Their attempt at normalcy is a performance, a fragile shell. The fracture point begins not with a monster, but with a memory. At the Hawkins Memorial Hospital, a coma patient named Chrissy Cunningham begins to convulse. Her limbs snap. Her eyes hollow. She levitates. And she dies. The cause is listed as a seizure. The truth is a new form of attack. Psychogenic homicide. The killer is not in the room. He's in a memory. He's Henry Creel, the boy with insane psychic power, sent to the Upside Down by 11 in 1979, has been up to some serious stuff. For 7 years, he has been merging with that dimension, becoming its architect and its wrath. His body is a scarred, vein-encrusted monument to hatred. His power has evolved beyond telekinesis. He has become a psychic predator, hunting through the mind itself. His methodology is a 4-stage haunting. They'll call victims here a clock, a memory from their past. The vision, flashes of their deepest trauma. The curse, physical manifestation of psychic damage, nosebleeds, nightmares. The victim is lifted psychically, Their bones shatter, and Vecna absorbs part of their life, forced to strengthen his hold on our world. His goal is not random slaughter. It is surgical. He targets those burdened by guilt and trauma. Creasy, star athlete Fred Benson, newspaper editor Patrick McKinney. Each kill is a key, turning in a psychic lock. Each death opens a temporary, localized gate in the exact spot they die. 4 kills, 4 gates. Vecna isn't trying to open a new door. He's turning Hawkins itself into the door. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, a different prison break is underway. In the Kamchatka Gulag, the American Jim survives. His existence is a brutal cycle of cold, forced labor, and fending off creatures the Soviets have imprisoned. A live Demogorgon, fed on political prisoners. Hopper's fight is not psychic. It is primal. His goal is not to defeat a monster, but to outlast the system that cages it. 2 fronts are established. In Hawkins, Nancy Wheeler and Robin Buckley trace the killings to the Creel house, discovering the forgotten history of Henry Creel. In California, a government agent named Sam Owens arrives with a warning and an offer. 11 must regain her powers to stop this new threat. Her path to power leads back to the source of her trauma, a secret Nina Project facility, where her lost memories are the key to unlocking her strength. The season's core theme crystallizes. This is a war of memories. Vecna weaponizes traumatic memory to kill and create gates. 11 must reclaim her lost, painful memories to fight back. And somewhere in Russia, Hopper's memory of his daughter is the only fuel for his will to survive. The first gate tears open in the attic of the Creel house on the hill. A weeping wound in reality, looking down on a town that has forgotten its own history. The clock has struck 4. The killing has begun, and the only person who can stop it doesn't even remember who she is fighting. With 4 gates torn open across Hawkins, the town becomes a ticking clock. The edges of the wounds are spreading. The earthquake cover story straining under the visual of downtown Hawkins, literally splitting open at the seams. Vecna's plan is almost complete. A 5th kill will merge the 4 gates into chaos. His target, Max Mayfield, a girl drowning in guilt over Billy's death. The Hawkins crew figures out Vecna's weakness. His mind tether makes him vulnerable. Their plan, dubbed the piggyback, is a high-risk assault on 2 fronts simultaneously. 11, her powers partially restored through the Nina Project's memory immersion tank, must find Max in the hellscape of Vecna's Minda. Twisted memory of the Creel house. She's got company. The whole crew, Lucas, Erika, Dustin, Steve, and Nancy are using a sensory deprivation tank at the Hawkins High School AV Club, and Robin acts as an amplifier circle, grounding 11 and focusing her will. Their weapon is music. Max's favorite song on a Walkman, a lifeline of personal memory to combat Vecna's traumatic ones. The physical assault, the Upside Down. Steve, Nancy, and Robin dive into the frozen Upside Down, ready to face Vecna and save the day. They're being chased by his crazy army of fully evolved, flying monsters known as the Vecna Gorgon, a wild army of flying monsters. This is a guerrilla mission. Find the lair, burn to body. Parallel to this, a 3rd, brutal front plays out 5,000 miles away. In Kamchatka, Hopper and his cellmate, the imprisoned Russian smuggler Enzo, enact a desperate escape plan. The gauntlet is not psychic, but visceral. Navigating frozen courtyards, avoiding search, and ultimately confronting the imprisoned Demogorgon in a gladiatorial showdown for the keys to an armored train. Hopper's fight is a metaphor for the entire season. To escape hell, you must first face the monster in its pit, armed with nothing but a sword made of a melted-down food tray. The climax is a synchronized, 3-pronged operation across 2 dimensions and 1 prison. In Max's mind, 11 fights a brutal psychic duel, rebuilding Max's crumbling memories while Vecna tries to erase them. In the Upside Down, the team discovers Vecna's vine-covered body and sets it on fire. In Kamchatka, Hopper beheads the Demogorgon in a blast of fire, seizing his freedom. The result is a costly, partial victory. Vecna is wounded, not killed. Max's life is suspended in a coma, her mind shattered. Hawkins is not destroyed, but transformed. The four gates have merged into a single, massive, volcanic rifts, splitting the town from the Creel house to the library. The Upside Down is no longer underneath. It is here, bleeding through an invisible, spreading corruption. The team regroups, winning the battle, but lose the ground. The last shot isn't a monster, it's just a town. Red lightning forks in a sickly sky above a fractured main street. The battlefield is no longer hidden. It is their home, and the war is now out in the open. 2 days after the earthquake, the official narrative collapses under the weight of the evidence. A 2-mile-long chasm from another world defies explanation. The Great Rift is a permanent geographical and psychological fact. The Upside Down is not invading. It is colonizing. Our forensic analysis identifies a critical, terrifying evolution. The environment of the rift is actively changing. The red, biotic growth, Vecna's curse, is spreading from the gates like a cancer. It kills local flora and replaces it with upside-down fauna. The air temperature drops 15 degrees within its perimeter, and it emits a low-frequency psychic hum that induces paranoia and nightmares in nearby residents. Hawkins is not just a battleground. It is becoming a transitional ecosystem. The human cost is measured in the compromised status of our key subjects. 11 possesses her full power, but carries the guilt of failing to save Max completely. Will Bias feels the connection stronger than ever, a constant, painful pull toward the rift. He is not a victim now, but a potential early warning system. Jim Hopper, rescued and returned, is a man out of time, physically and psychologically scarred by a year in a literal hell. The party is reunited, but their unity is now a military alliance, not a childhood club. They are generals, not kids. The season's final revelation comes not from the field, but from the lab. Dr. Sam Owens, analyzing the nature of the rift, presents a theory that changes everything. The Upside Down is not a parallel dimension. It is a snapshot. It is Hawkins. Frozen on November 6, 1983, the exact moment 11 first opened a gate and accidentally created it. It is a dimension formed from her childhood memory and trauma. Vecna isn't just the ruler. He's the one who corrupts everything. He's spent years twisting that memory into his weapon. His goal is no longer to open gates, but to overwrite our reality with his corrupted version of that snapshot. The Great Rift is the beachhead for this overwrite. The final scene of Season 4 confirms the scale of the coming conflict. From a hilltop, the core group looks down on their town. The rift glows with malevolent red energy. Tendrils of corruption creep toward the school, the library, their homes. Mike Wheeler voices the new reality. He's not hiding anymore. The shadow in the storm cloud of Will's paintings is no longer approaching. It is here. This is no longer a town with a problem. This is a problem with a town inside it. The Great Rift, that glowing, pulsing scar that split Hawkins in two, is not a wound. It's a root system, and it is growing. The official story has finally completely run out of lies. The earthquake cover story collapsed when the cracks in the ground started glowing red and breathing. Hawkins is now a military exclusion zone, a biological and dimensional crime scene surrounded by fences, tanks, and soldiers who have no idea what they're guarding against. And for the first time since that first Demogorgon stepped through the trees in 1983, the enemy's objective has fundamentally changed. This is no longer about possession or invasion from the outside, or even conquest. It is about replacement. Vecna's corrupted snapshot of November 6, 1983, the day Will Byers vanished. The day the first gate was torn open isn't just pressing against our reality anymore. It is actively overriding it, pixel by psychic pixel, like a darkroom developer slowly transforming a blank sheet into a negative image. His world, the Upside Down, isn't breaking in. Ours is being systematically, chemically overwritten. You can watch it happen in real time. The ivy on a house turning from green to black. The brickwork of the library gaining a glossy, organic sheen. The very air turning cold and tasting of copper and decay. Tree by tree. Brick by brick. Memory by memory. The party is whole again, gathered in the Wheeler basement that started it all. But this reunion carries no joy, no relief. It is a somber deployment of veteran soldiers. Mike, Will, Dustin, Lucas, Maxiven, Steve, Nancy, Robin, and a Hopper who returned from a Soviet gulag with new ghosts in his eyes. They are no longer children hiding a terrifying secret from their parents. They are the only experts in a war that has escalated beyond the comprehension of generals and scientists. Their first critical objective is to diagnose this new battlefield, to understand the rules of a game that has changed entirely. The diagnosis comes from Will Byers. His connection to the Upside Down, once a flickering compass, is now a constant, agonizing hum in his nervous system. He feels the spread of the corruption like phantom limb pain. He provides the chilling, elegant hypotheses. The memory cancer Vecna, he theorizes, has finally perfected his art. He is no longer just attacking through memories. He is using a specific, frozen memory as a template, a blueprint to rebuild our world in his image. The Upside Down is no longer a separate place. It is becoming the dominant pattern. This means Vecna is not hiding in the rift, waiting to strike. He is the rift. His consciousness has become the living algorithm of the override process. To stop him, they cannot just attack the symptoms, the vines, the monsters, the gates. They must perform psychic surgery on the source code itself. They must find and destroy the core memory, that original, perfect, frozen moment of 1983 that he is using as his template. To kill the disease, they must locate and burn the blueprint. Time, however, is a physical force here. The psychic pulses emanating from the rift, those waves of dread that make birds fall from the sky and children wake screaming yar, increasing in frequency. Dr. Sam Owens, working from a clandestine mobile lab on the quarantine perimeter, shows him the data. His models predict a point of no return, a threshold of psychic mass where the overwrite becomes irreversible, autocatalytic. Te abades, maybe a week, not months, not even weeks. From this desperation, the plan is born, codenamed Deep Scan. It is the most dangerous thing they have ever considered. A team must enter the Upside Down, not to fight a monster or rescue a friend, but to navigate, to travel deeper into the dimension's psyche than anyone ever has, to journey past its geography of rotting trees and ruined homes, and into its very psychic architecture, the framework of memory and trauma that holds it together. They must find the core. The teams split according to their trauma, their unique scars from the war. The Compass team, Will and 11. The two people most intimately and permanently scarred by the Upside Down, whose very identities were forged in its darkness. Will's pain is the map. 11's power is the vehicle. The SHIELD team, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, the original party. Their bond, forged in basement campaigns and walkie-talkie codes, is the strongest, purest psychic signal they possess. They will use modified electronics to broadcast a psychic white noise, a shield of friendship to protect the Compass team from the corrosive despair of Vecna's mind. The defense team, Steve, Nancy, Robin, Hopper, Joyce, the veterans of the physical war. Their job is to hold the literal line at the edge of the rift, to fight the conventional war against whatever Vecna throws at the real world, to protect his core. Leaving isn't grand, it just feels like saying goodbye. At the edge of the largest fissure, a canyon of pulsating red light that leads into the heart of the earth, Will Byers looks into the abyss. His eyes reflect not fear, but a terrible recognition. He sees the path. 11 takes his hand, her expression one of grim resolve. They look back, not at the soldiers or the trucks, but at their friends. At Mike, whose face is etched with the terror of losing them both. Then they step off the edge, not falling, but walking down the sheer, impossible wall of the rift, into the blinding, bloody glow. To save their home, they must walk voluntarily into the memory of its worst day. To kill the monster, they must journey directly into the mind of the nightmare. The overwrite has begun, and their only remaining choice is to dive straight into the source code of hell itself. The world they step into is a masterpiece of horror. This is the core snapshot, Vecna's prize. It is Hawkins, Indiana, on November 6, 1983, but preserved not with nostalgia, but with vitriol. Every detail is excruciatingly perfect. and perfectly dead. Leaves are frozen mid-fall in the gray air. A newspaper dated that day lies on a porch, the ink running like tears. The silence is deafening, like a weight on your ears. This is not a place. It is a diorama of Vecna's hatred. Will Baez leads them, his face a mask of pain. The connection that guides him is no longer a tether but a fishing hook in his soul, reeling him inexorably toward the epicenter of the memory, his own home, on the day he was taken. The journey reveals the new rules. This psychic landscape is not navigated by moving through space, but by moving through trauma. To go deeper, they cannot skirt the painful memories. They must move directly through them. They must relive them. He sees a ghostly, translucent echo of his 12-year-old self, riding his bike out the door in an endless, silent. The trauma is not a memory on a shelf. It is a spinning gear in the machine. Will makes the choice. He closes his eyes, opens his mind, and allows the memory to consume him, to feel again every second of that terror. He uses his own pain as a key. The world dissolves in a nauseating whirl of sensation and emotion, and when it reassembles, they are somewhere else. They have descended to a deeper stratum, Vecna's foundational trauma, the memory he used as the cornerstone to build his entire kingdom. The environment is now the sterile, fluorescent-lit hallways of Hawkins National Laboratory, circa 1979. There are ghosts here, unseen by the young orderlies who hurry past. The air smells of antiseptic and ozone. At the end of a long hall, a heavy door bears the designation number 1. Inside, alone in a white room, sits a young Henry Creel. He is not drawing monsters. He is drawing intricate, beautiful patterns, fractals of isolation and power. This is the prison that created the warden. This is the rage that fueled the fire. And here, buried in the sub-basement of Henry's misery, they find it. Not a fortress, not a monster's lair. The true core is a moment, a sliver of time so powerful it tore a hole in reality. It is the Genesis memory, the exact psychic snapshot of the moment 11, as a child, first made contact with the Demogorgon and ripped open the Mother Gate. This memory is the original sin of the Upside Down, the Big Bang of their entire nightmare. Vecna did not create this dimension. He found it a fresh wound in reality, and built his empire around this scar. While the core team navigates this psychic labyrinth, the price of their journey is being paid in blood above. In the real Hawkins, at the crumbling edge of the quarry, the defense team watches in horror as the ground doesn't just crack, it erupts. This is not a trickle of creatures. This is Vecna's mobilized army, his full might unleashed to defend his heart. Demogorgons tear from the earth in packs. Demodogs swarm like insects. The sky darkens with the shrieks of winged leathery creatures. Steve sparks the first Molotov, while Nancy readies her shotgun. Hopper bellows orders. The battle for Hawkins is no longer a secret skirmish. It is a conventional, desperate, and horrifying war of attrition. Fire versus flesh. Courage versus numbers. Every minute Lucas, Dustin, and Mike can maintain their psychic shield. Every second Will and 11 push deeper, is bought with screams and gunfire and the smell of burning alien meat on the night air. In the deepest chamber of the psychic core, the team finally stands before it. The anchor, it is not a screaming skull or a beating heart. It is something small, personal, and devastatingly innocent. The yellow six-sided die from Mike Wheeler's Dungeons & Dragons set. The very die rolled on November 6, 1983, in the Wheeler basement. It floats in a void, pristine and glowing with a soft, golden light that has been corrupted at the edges into pulsing red. Tistre Biao. Happy memory of friendship and imagination has been twisted into the linchpin of hell. The emotional weight is catastrophic. To destroy it would sever the Upside Down's connection to their reality, collapsing Vecna's entire project, but it would also mean destroying a foundational piece of their own shared past. It'd be like cutting off a part of themselves. To win, they might have to let go of what made them the party. The attack does not come as a monster. It comes as a truth. The space fractures like glass, and Vecna manifests, not as a creature of flesh and vine, but as a towering, shifting sculpture woven from the fabric of the dimension itself. Shattered clock faces, screaming faces trapped in crystal, thorned vines that are also prison bars. His voice is not a single sound, but a chorus of everyone they've ever lost, everyone they've ever feared for. This memory is mine. The chorus booms, the sound that vibrates in their bones. It is the only truth. My pain built this world. Your joy is the lie you tell to survive it. This memory is all I have, and it is all you are. His final defense is not an army, but a philosophical claim. He owns their story, their trauma, their friendship. Their entire epic is just fuel for his machine. The counterattack is not violence. It is a louder truth. Mike Wheeler steps forward, his face pale but determined. He doesn't raise a weapon. He raises his Walkman. He presses play. It is not Kate Bush. It is a crude tape recording, the voices of 4 boys in the basement from years ago. Dustin's wheezing laugh at his own joke. Lucas's passionate, wrong argument about elf rules. Will's quiet. What about the Veil of Shadows? Mike's voice saying, I roll a 13. The sound is tinny, full of static, and utterly, devastatingly human. It fills the sterile, hateful, psychic space. They don't fight the corrupted memory. They overwrite it themselves. With a better one, with a truer one. A memory that isn't frozen and perfect, but messy and real and alive. 11 joins her power to Will's, but not as a weapon. As a broadcaster, she takes the signal from the tape, the sound of their friendship, the feeling of intent. She amplifies it, pumping it directly into the glowing D20. The golden light at the die's center flares, fighting the red corruption. The core memory begins to crack, not with the darkness of Vecna's hate, but with a brilliant, blinding white light, the light of something remembered and cherished. In the real world, the great rift convulses. The red glow intensifies, then shatters into a blinding white flash that illuminates the entire county. The attacking monsters shriek, not in rage, but in confusion and agony, as their connection to the hive mind frays. They begin to dissolve into ash, but in the psychic core, the victory reveals its price. The energy release from the fracturing core is catastrophic, a psychic supernova. Will Byers turns to 11. There is no fear on his face, only a profound, sad understanding. He speaks not with his voice, but directly into her mind. A thought as clear as a bell. It needs a guide home. The energy, it can't just vanish. It needs a path. A living part of this place too. Channel it away. To close the door from this side. They've done it. Vecna's empire is falling apart. But remember, the laws of physics always seek balance. To safely close this door forever, to ensure the explosive death of the Upside Down doesn't vaporize Hawkins in the process. One of them, a living piece of its reality, must stay behind. Must act as a grounding wire, a sacrificial conduit to channel the dimension's death throes into the void. The victory is at hand. The cost is now standing before them, in the eyes of a boy who has never truly left this place.